Yuki is a shy and reserved boy who is transported to a different world in an unconscious state under the care of an elf-like goddess named Ameth. As she is injured and unable to go down to the world herself until she heals completely, she is forced to assign him an elf guide named Kokkoro for the remainder of his journey in that world. Coco, on land, finds him knocked out on the promised hill from the prophecy made by Ameth and saves him from the wolves, claiming it is her duty to protect him. Since he has lost all memories and powers, she tells him that the only way to have them return is for him to gain experience in this world, starting by fighting the two wolves who have reappeared to attack him. However, despite his best efforts, which are not much considering he has no memory, he loses the fight. Our hero soon arrives at the royal capital, Landisal, at the heart of a continent called Estria, with his guide Coco, and is amazed to see several different races existing together, including the elves, demons, beasts, and humans. After explaining how money is used, they enjoy a good meal right before Coco realizes that they are running low on cash and need to find a place to stay. They don't find one. By the end of the day, they have to camp outside at night, where the two relentless wolves try to hurt you again. The next day, the duo go to the guild and find a well-paying, easy quest to find and collect mushrooms from the Gado ruins. While going through that area after splitting up with Coco, he finds an unconscious orange-haired girl named Pecorine, who seems tired and hungry as her stomach starts violently growling. He has her join them for a meal when the three of them are attacked by giant mushrooms, and as Peck fights back, Coco struggles and is almost stabbed, which unlocks Yu's unique power. The girls find their power levels increasing as a result, and Coco declares that as proof that Yu is indeed the princess knight she was meant to serve. After winning the fight, a live mushroom that escaped from Coco's bag tries to attack her once she lets her guard down but is eaten instead by a hungry Peck, who gets drunk on it. Yu carries Peck and walks with his new friends towards the capital at the start of their adventure. After training a little with a wood stick the next morning, Yu and Coco meet a man who tells them to start a guild so that the guild association will give them a base of operations they can use as a place to stay. They leave for town and run into Peck, who is, as expected, winning an eating competition. However, she catches sight of the two men who stole her sword under the pretense of being sick and rushes after them, still believing that they truly are sick and require the medicine she has gotten for them. The trio ends up on the outskirts of town, where they are attacked by an angry beast that looks like it's being controlled by someone. Peck takes it out with a strong punch and accidentally knocks out a cat-like girl in the process. The annoyed girl introduces herself as Karyl and has a conversation with Peck about her sword, after which she quickly leaves, irritated by the group's kindness. However, she returns the same day and informs them that the sword, along with the two men, has been stolen by a dragon that, as Coco recalls from the Guild Association's bulletin, is attracted to riches. They rush to get her sword back, and our hero decides to go in as a distraction and attract the dragon's attention by waving a blue cloak at it. Peck sees her chance and jumps on its back, only to have the dragon snap Yu into its mouth along with the sword. However, Coco's magic spell prevents him from being hurt. In all of the chaos, Karyl gains control of the dragon's mind with her Princess Knight power to control all monsters and pushes it to fly higher and throw Peck into the wind. It tries to attack her again but is stopped by Yu pulling the cloak over its eye just as Peck slams it to the ground with a strong punch. It lands near Karyl, snapping her concentration, and once she loses control over it, the angry dragon moves to attack her instead but is stopped by Peck, who is stronger with her sword, and with a single attack, she kills it. After the whole situation, they sit down to have a meal together, and Peck suggests the idea of starting a new gourmet guild together to sample all the different kinds of delicious food in the world. Karyl refuses to do so and leaves, seeming very annoyed by the trio again. With Coco out to get the application to register a new guild, Yu wanders around the town and is surprised as he comes across an unwell woman named Eriko, who has collapsed, yet no one seems to be concerned. Out of kindness, he offers her what little food he has and then joins Coco to find Peck and Karyl. They run into Karyl spying on a restaurant because she is hungry and meet Peck inside, who asks them to join her for yet another meal. When the owner informs them he has run out of ingredients, she reveals that the restaurant offers a secret menu to those who have the means to find out about it and makes them eat all the different kinds of weird bug food offered: toasted, fried, baked, you name it. Karyl is disgusted by it and finds no support in Yu and Coco, who happily munch on the food. However, when Peck manages to force a bite into her mouth, she realizes that it is truly good food. Still, she refuses to join the guild when Coco invites her again. As a result, Peck, who needs money, decides to work part-time at the secret menu restaurant, disappointing Coco, although she does go to the restaurant with Yu to have a good meal. Karyl, who comes in a few minutes later, is shocked to find Peck trying to make 3 little girls eat bug food and slaps her hand away before shouting at Coco for hovering around her with the guild application. Suddenly the doors are thrown open, and a strong, unruly customer enters, questioning the hygiene of the restaurant since it serves bug food and breaking the owner's hand, which annoys Peck, who asks him if hunger is what is making him act this way. He challenges Peck to make him good food or he'll shut down the place she likes so much, which finally gives her the chance to show off her amazing cooking skills. With Karyl's finishing touch to the food, they manage to wow the customer with the amazing food, but he still wastes it to close the restaurant and get money from the rival place. Peck can't stand his waste of food and throws him out of the restaurant. Eventually, Karyl realizes that without her, the trio will always miss the finishing touches and decides to join the guild, and together the 4 of them go to formally register their guild, the Gourmet Guild. Due to the lack of guild houses available, the one offered to the newly formed guild is old, rundown, and filled to the brim with bugs and insects of all kinds. Coco reminds them quickly that all of them should be happy to at least have a place to stay now, and the 4 of them begin cleaning the house as best they can. Coco and Karyl attempt to clean the cobwebs and windows while Yu and Peck finish removing all the furniture and placing it outside, but suddenly, Peck begins to panic because they don't seem to have a dining table. She insists on having one since the focus of the guild is to find and test new food together, and they can't do that unless they have a place to eat together, so she offers to make them a new table by cutting down a tree in the garden with her sword. Meanwhile, Karyl makes Yu climb up a makeshift ladder to clean the higher windows, but accidentally knocks it over when a bug climbs up her leg, and Yu falls and hits his head. When he does open his eyes, Ameth greets him casually and congratulates him for coming this far in his journey very quickly, including in the bonds he has made. She talks about the 3 girls and their strong connection to the mystery he is supposed to figure out, and reveals that the girls have their own journeys to complete, especially Karyl, who seems to be in a dangerous situation. He wakes up to see Karyl worried and convinces her that he's feeling perfectly fine before going out to view the table that Peck has finished making. However, it is too big to fit through the door, and a disappointed Peck has to get back to work on it again. They finally finish setting up the house as the sun sets, and Coco returns from the market with things for the house and gifts for all of them. They then go on to have their first meal as a guild. Yu wakes up with a high fever one day, and each girl picks a different strategy when it comes to making him feel better. Peck tries to feed him boiling hot food that constantly burns his tongue and bug food that she claims is very nutritious, while Coco attempts to make him DIY medicine with those nutritious bugs. The only sensible one appears to be Karyl, who demands that they take him to the nearest hospital, which ends up being the Twilight Caravan, a medical guild's base of operations. They get suspicious when the nurse, dressed like a witch, leads them to the doctor, who looks like she came out of a pirate movie. But as there are no more hospitals nearby, they are forced to accept the doctor's help, who tells them that Yu needs surgery to make him feel 30% better. As is their hospital's policy, each patient that leaves will always feel 30% better than when they came in. When Yu wakes up the next day, he is alone in the room with the demon girl Eriko, whose glowing red eyes terrify him, and she happily claims to have found her soulmate. She ties him up and attempts to force-feed him while talking about the people who tried to attack their guild and were defeated by her, and the other 2 members of the guild. She also tries to forcefully get engaged to him by giving him a cursed engagement ring with spider legs. I would cry if I were him. She is distracted by a cloud of purple smoke and leaves the room to find the source when Karyl and Peck rush in to save him as Coco distracts them with her weird bug medicine smoke. But they are blocked in the middle of the staircase by the doctor down below, and Eriko is searching for them on the floor above. Seeing the window as the only escape route, they push Yu through it, and Peck follows. But as she turns around to help Karyl, she realizes that she has sacrificed herself to distract the doctor and help the others escape. As they escape with Coco to go have Yu seen by an actual doctor, Karyl's screams echo through their ears, and they assure themselves that she will return feeling 30% better the next day. The doctor tells them Yu has a rash that is often misdiagnosed but has already been treated, and that the Twilight Caravan doctor, while a little crazy, is actually great. Karyl returns to the guild looking quite disturbed, only to go to sleep immediately, and then not remember how she came back over breakfast the next day. She also panics when she wrongly assumes that Peck wants to know how the clinic was after they left. Even the food that reminds her of that place manages to scare her. A cheery Peck, however, proposes a quest to help harvest raw spices in Tarum village, since the reward will meet the guild's objectives and offer them pay as well as some of the raw harvested spices that are rumored to be legendary in taste. She reaches out to them emotionally, as it is the first quest of the guild and should ideally be completed by all 4 members, and they start on their journey. Along the way, they stop for the night in the open grassland and collect wood for the fire, which Peck needs to make them great food with the ingredients she is collecting. Since they are out in the wilderness, she accidentally picks out a fruit that gets everyone except Coco drunk and unable to protect you when he is attacked by an animal and taken away. Luckily for him, a lonely forester named Ai saves him from the beast and talks his ear off while the girls catch up. She joins them on their way to Tarum village, where they learn that another guild, Elizabeth Park, will be joining them soon, and Coco gets excited at the prospect of meeting some friends again. The group runs into a girl who is flying on her pillow, fast asleep, when she hits a pillar and falls. Hatsum wakes up in a rush and accidentally lets out that she flew in her sleep and may have superpowers, which she then asks the group to keep quiet about. Hat talks about her sister, Shiori, who is a part of Elizabeth Parks, and how fun the harvest season will be with all of them. They wake up well rested and energetic the next day, excited to begin harvesting and meet Hat and the village head, where they are shocked to learn that flying is a superpower and not a magical ability for Hat. Before they can ask her anything else, they are interrupted by a disturbance in town where the injured members of Elizabeth Park have just arrived, including Rima the llama, who informs everyone that Hat's sister was separated from them and is currently missing. She also talks about the black swordswoman who attacked them and offers to tag along with the rescue group consisting of Yu, Coco, Hat, and Ai to find sheep, which leaves only Peck and a disheartened Karyl to defend the village. Ai, who had lived in the forest her whole life, feels something is off with it, and Hat takes off into the air to get a better, wider look, only to be hit by a projectile that sends her fast falling to the ground. By the time the group gets to her, she is frozen in shock, as it was her sister, She, who everyone is searching for, who attacked her and is now possessed by one of the shadow monsters. Christina, the black swordswoman who started this series of attacks, blocks their path to the village, forcing them to leave the protection of the village to Peck and Karyl. Having recognized Christina, Rima charges towards her angrily without any plan and is easily overwhelmed by Christina's phasing ability, which she uses to phase her sword through Rima's and land a strong hit on her that sends her flying through the air. Yu follows with a second attack but is hit using the same ability again, however, with Coco's protective spell around him. He only gets knocked out. Back in Ameth's world, Yu learns that the battle going on outside is a dangerous one, and while she didn't expect Christina to battle them this soon, it's a serious situation and one that can't be won without his Princess Knight powers. She tells him that there used to be a time he would go on adventures with friends before he lost his memories, including the ability to use his powers at will. At the mention of such things, Yu remembers a few moments of said adventures and returns with a bang, sharing his powers and increasing everyone's strength, stamina, and magical abilities. The group begins a coordinated attack, with Rima shifting into her human form and attacking her. She dodges it and quickly deflects the arrows sent her way by Ai, only to see Hat in the air gearing up to launch her shooting star attack. Even though the attack hits her and creates a dust cloud, there isn't a scratch on her, which pushes Yu to attack her again. But he gets taken down again. But this time, their series of attacks and the sudden increase in abilities impress Christina, and she walks away, happy to have found something that has made her day better than she expected. Now in the clear, the group rushes to the village under attack by She, who is possessed, and the other shadow monsters, and they see Peck and Karyl doing their best to fight the shadow monsters, in the middle of which Hat sees a chance to get to her sister. Using her special ability to enter her sister's mind, she helps purge the monster out into the world and leaves it to Karyl to trap the monster and Peck to take it out with her princess strike. After the dangerous situation at Tarum village, the gourmet guide decides to take a break and help plant some princess rice seeds in the paddy field. Peck explains that the reason behind the name is that the Princess of Londisol loves rice and sponsored these fields herself, but animals are now destroying them. She tries to convince them to take a quest that helps the farmers but ends up in an argument with Karyl, who thinks that they take on too many quests about food and would like to find some that pay them well instead. They are still fighting when they reach the guild to find a new quest, only to find nothing because neither girl can settle on one. Meanwhile, right next to them, Yu and Coco look at an unofficial job poster that requires a kind teacher to teach some people how to be a guild and carry it out with them when they leave. All of them are surprised when 3 little girls ambush them twice, staring at the poster in Yu's hand, and ask him if he wants to help them. Over a hot meal, the girls introduce themselves as the Little Lyrical Guild, which remains unofficial because they are not yet of age. They tell the team that they want to start a guild to keep the peace in Landasol, which makes Peck and Karyl realize that their argument was lame at best, and that truly one should only start a guild to protect the peace around them, which, in turn, has them agreeing to help these young girls. That night at their guild house, they realize how bad of an artist Yu is and decide to draw a treasure map themselves for the girls to finish the next day in the forest, hoping it will help them learn how to work together in a group. Proclaiming Yu as their master, with the map in hand, the Little Lyricals set out to finish their quest in the forest but get confused and ask Yu for help with directions. Yu, not unsurprisingly, is also bad at directions and leads them the wrong way, which has the Gourmet Guild girls panicking because they had created a safe route on that map. They try to tell him to change direction, but it doesn't work and forces them to take action instead. One by one, the Gourmet Guild girls show up as monsters to make them change their route, only to somehow be beaten in the process, and when real monsters or animals show up, they work behind the scenes to take them down. Our hero, on the other hand, keeps getting caught somehow and eventually gets kidnapped by a giant bird. The Little Lyricals are the first to find him in the bird nest and attack the monster with perfect coordination, but since they lack the amount of magic needed to take the bird down, they lose and are knocked unconscious. During that time, Coco, Karyl, and Peck show up, tired and out of magic, but luckily Peck finds some food and takes the monster bird down. When the Little Lyricals awaken, they credit the defeat of the monster to them, and as a last-minute reward, they give them one of the monster eggs, which hatch, and the chick becomes their reward and pet. As it turns out, the monster bird happens to be one of the animals attacking the paddy fields, and having now realized that no quest is unimportant, the Gourmet Guild decides to take up the quests to help the farmers. Their vacation days have finally arrived, and the team decides to take a trip to the beach and have a relaxing couple of days. As usual, Peck and Karyl butt heads on how to relax in the water since Peck is the more energetic and playful one while Karyl simply wants to float around and chill. On land, when Coco questions why she doesn't seem so hungry anymore, Peck tells them that the armor she wears contains a lot of magical properties like improved physical strength, enhanced nourishment, and recovery from exhaustion. But as a side effect, it makes her very, very hungry, which does explain why she's always eating. They are interrupted by a woman named Suzanne, who happens to know Coco and learn that there is a new beachside snack hut around the corner that she has started with her boss, Saren, and the four of them head over to try it out, keeping true to the guild motive even during their chill time, although who would truly say no to food? Peck realizes after trying out all their food that even though it's good and it is lunchtime, not a lot of people have come over to eat. Saren tells her that is because another snack hut on the beach has a featured menu item that drew away their customers. The owner of the other snack hut that normally offers hot food is offended by Karyl, who claims that cold food is better, especially at the beach, and ends up calling them novices. She tells them that good business is done by seeking opportunities that others wouldn't think of going to or doing, and she offers yet another business partnership to Saren on the condition that she shuts down the new snack hut, but is rejected again. She also challenges the Gourmet Guild novices to try and make better food, which really gets to Karyl, and she makes it a Gourmet Guild mission to find a featured menu item for Saren's snack hut. While searching for different types of seafood and ingredients, they hear the emergency bell go off and run to the site, only to see a monster squid known as the Great Kraken try to drag a drunk girl underwater. It is stopped by Peck, who, once again, surprises everyone with her amazing physical strength. Together, Peck and Karyl fish out the Kraken and save the girl before wondering what to do with that huge monster now. Coco gets an idea and proposes that they make the monster squid a featured menu item and enjoy themselves. The idea works well, and soon enough, Saren's customers all return to enjoy the monster squid food, and they earn praise from the other owner. As a reward for completing a mission that Karyl wanted, she uses her magical abilities to cast a spell on the group to be able to breathe underwater, and they explore the beautiful sights underneath before bumping their fists together as a sign of a wonderful friendship. They have now come into being a guild and feel like a part of a strong guild, all thanks to the owner of their favorite secret menu restaurant. To offer their thanks, Yu and Coco head over to deliver some ingredients to him, only to discover that he seems to be possessed by a ghost. As the rest of the workers panic, Yu hears a voice above the owner's head whispering to him to make pudding, which is, in turn, making the owner obsessed with pudding, but the rest neither see nor hear anything and wonder if he is feeling well. Just then, Shinobu, the town's resident fortune teller, arrives with her negative presence and is impressed by Yu's ability to tell that there is a ghost around. She then orders Miyako the ghost to let the poor man go, but the stubborn ghost child appears out of thin air, shocking everyone, and doesn't want to, claiming it is punishment for him since he filled her pudding with bugs. Shinobu asks Yu for a favor and takes them to the Diabolos Guild, to which both she and Miyako belong. However, their entrance is treated with suspicion as the Dark Guild doesn't normally welcome outsiders. She announces that our hero may have the ability to resurrect the Queen of Darkness, the legendary vampire Ilya Ornstein, who also happens to be the head of the guild and is sealed in a crystal. Yu learns that she led a battle as the queen of the demon clan against all the other races, like the elves and humans, among others, and was sealed by the goddess clan. Since their seal was very strong, the Diabolos members were only able to release her to a certain extent, and every time she steps out of the crystal, her magical ability depletes and she turns into a child. They take him to her, but she senses no power in him and calls it dumb luck, which causes her guild members to feel terrible because she had promised to grant them a lot of things once she was brought back to life with all her magic. Since she lacks said magic, her minions, the bats, begin to attack her, and our kind-hearted hero tries to save her by accidentally using his power. Since he has the ability to increase the magical powers of those around him, the queen momentarily returns to her original form and starts boasting, only to turn back into a child seconds later. Using the chaos that follows as a means to escape, Yu and Coco try to leave, but Miyako realizes that during this period they somehow managed to destroy the puddings she had gotten and decides to stick to them till they make her some good pudding. Back at the guild house, Karyl is surprised by the ghost and is dragged into the problem as well, since all three will be punished if they don't make pudding. It is due to this that when Peck, the only good cook in the house, returns from a day out, she finds the ghost and fortune teller in the house, while her friends have been turned into blobs of pudding themselves. To save them, she makes a pudding that has the ghost seeing and hearing angels sing and satisfies her enough to have her return Peck's friends to their normal state. On a random morning, Karyl, who is always on time, is late for breakfast because she wants to sleep in, and she doesn't respond when Peck comes up to check on her. Worried, Peck breaks in through the window to make sure she is alright, only to end up tearing Karyl's favorite soft toy. As they fight over it during breakfast, Coco offers to help since she has taken some sewing classes and heads to the market with Yu and Peck to find the materials required, especially a matching color thread. After going through a few shops and coming up with nothing, Peck suggests splitting up to cover more ground, which leaves Yu to wander around and enter a street with an empty shop. But something feels weird, and a noise draws his attention to the back of the shop, where a shadow monster is attacking the shopkeeper. He rushes into attack but is thrown back. However, he does manage to make himself the target, leaving the shopkeeper to run away. The shadow monster is intercepted by a tall girl with a huge sword before it can get to him, and she cuts it down within seconds before worriedly scanning Yu for injuries. She calls him her little brother and recalls that he has lost his memories when he looks confused. She assures him that now that his older sister is here, he has nothing to worry about. But before Yu can ask her any question, a shorter, red-haired girl shows up and drags the other one away, muttering something about watching him from a distance. Yu ignores the incident and regroups with the girls, who have also had no luck finding any supplies, and they decide to keep looking. Coco and Yu stay together this time around, stopping by a food stall to have a small bite of hamburger when Yu drops sauce over his clothes. Coco offers to go find him something to clean up with, but when she doesn't return for a while, and he catches sight of Eriko, he runs away and ends up at the guild association. Yu realizes that there could be a quest to earn such materials as rewards or find them, so he asks the receptionist, and she hands him a flyer to collect a rainbow silkworm, sending him out on his first ever solo quest. By the time he returns, covered in mud and dirt, Peck and Coco are waiting for him, and they return to the guild house with the material. Peck returns empty-handed from the market one day, and informs the team that she has a new quest for them, the Elder Horn Subjugation, which involves taking down the monster blocking the bridge and stopping food supplies from coming into town. Once they agree, she comes up with a plan to get ahead quickly and uses Karyl as the decoy since she is smarter and faster than the other two when it comes to handling monsters. While she is busy doing that, Coco and Yu tie a rope around two trees and see Karyl jump over the rope while the monster runs straight into it and falls, which gives Peck the chance to destroy it as planned. They celebrate the reward of the quest and are pleasantly surprised when all the townspeople show up to thank Peck for helping. Later that night, Yu has a nightmare in which all the girls in his guild and other faces he doesn't remember the names of are badly injured and near the brink of death, when suddenly he is back in Ameth's world, who watches him sadly. She tells him that his dream was both a reality and a dream, perhaps from the past or maybe in the future, and that the time for something is drawing near, but there's a lot of work to do. Yu is terrified by the dream and Ameth's warning, and he asks Peck to train him in swordsmanship. Peck is surprised by the sudden request but agrees nonetheless, and they start training immediately. When they stop by the restaurant for lunch, Peck tells him that while training to become a good fighter, it is also important to pay attention to how much you eat. They also overhear a bunch of men talking about the ruler of the kingdom, Princess Yustiana of Landisal, who is known for her beauty but not for her willingness to help her people. They can only wish that Princess was as beautiful inside as she was outside and actually helped the struggling people of her land. On the other hand, Coco doesn't seem sad at all. In fact, she excitedly tells Yu that it has always been her dream to meet the princess, and they should drop by to meet her soon. Suddenly, the building begins to shake, and loud noises from outside prompt them to run out and see what's going on. A huge shadow demon catches hold of a man and sends the townspeople running away in terror when Peck steps in and slices its hand to free the man. The demon roars in anger and tries to get back at her, but she steps out of the way just enough for it to catch sight of Karyl, who is frozen in shock. Peck slashes it in half when it attempts to attack her, but it regenerates too quickly for the girls to react and launches its attack, which misses them. But Karyl gets caught in some of the debris and can't move, forcing Peck to defend her and get injured in the process. Seeing that Karyl is still unable to move, Peck hands her a shoulder guard that has protective properties and gets back into the fight. Both Peck and the demon attack at the same time, injuring each other and collapsing. Meanwhile, Karyl manages to free herself and rushes to get to Peck before the demon can regenerate, but they are out of luck. Yu attempts to step in and help, but the nightmarish images still stuck in his head distract and shake him deep enough to not be able to use his magic power in that moment. At this point, all four of them are unable to save themselves, and while the demon is ready to attack again, all hope is lost when suddenly walls erupt from down below, shielding them from the attack, and they fall through the hole in the ground. Yu, who often wakes up in Ameth's world, awakens to a different picture altogether. Though the world is similar to Ameth's, it seems dry, sad, and deserted. A barren land where he meets the woman who saved all of them, Labyrista, or Queen Labyrinth, the head of the Labyrinth Guild. He remembers seeing her at a food stall, which she admits was an attempt to hide her true identity. She assures him that his friends are safe in a different place, and he can trust her. Pecorine, the cheery, happy, and bubbly member of the Gourmet Guild, is revealed to be the forgotten Princess Yustiana of Landisal. She had, a long time ago, been asked by her parents to go on a long journey to experience life through the eyes of the people of the kingdom in order to be the best version of a ruler she could be. In a tragic turn of events, when she did finally return to the kingdom, everyone had forgotten her, including the staff at the palace and her parents. Princess Yustiana still existed, but it wasn't her. The woman who had taken her place as the heir to the throne, a lady with evil eyes and cat ears, had laughed at Peck as she tried to somehow get her parents, at the very least, to remember her. This lady had tricked everyone Peck knew into believing that she was Princess Yustiana, and that meant she had a lot of power and magic at her disposal. Sensing that she wouldn't be able to win a battle against her, Peck ran away from everything she knew and started a new adventure while trying to forget her old identity and make a new one. She wanted people to at least remember her as Pecorine, and it was on this adventure that she happened to meet Coco, Yu, and Karyl, who she hoped would be the people who remembered her new identity forever. She wanted to exist and be remembered by the people important to her. Lab, meanwhile, tells Yu about his extraordinary powers that can save his friends but can also destroy him in the process, and while Ameth was trying to get him to slowly regain his memories, they just don't have the time anymore, since it is unclear how he lost his memories, and considering they still haven't returned. She tells him there is no way to tell how using this power in its full mode will affect his existence in this reality. Little by little, she explains that the shadow monsters are not natural monsters that exist in this world, but are made by someone who wills and wants them to exist. These monsters attack people for their souls and have already destroyed several villages before arriving in the capital. She tells him that the world came about because of him and the person who wills these monsters, and that strikes a chord in Yu that forces him to remember visions that he thought were dreams, like protecting friends and fighting against an evil cat lady. Whatever it is, it gives Yu his decision, and he refuses her help in protecting his friends, assuring her that he can do it himself. Suddenly, a portal-like object opens near them, and the voices of her guild members come through, informing them of the ongoing battle between Coco, Karyl, Peck, and the Shadow Demon. He pulls out his sword, and she transports him to the Landisol Palace, where the battle is taking place. He drops in from above, knocks the demon aside with a slash, and uses his Princess Knight power to increase the power and magical stamina of the gourmet team. Coco uses her protection spell on all of them, and Peck is the first to hit the demon with a powerful princess strike, followed by Karyl, who uses her explosive magic to blow through the demon repeatedly. Not giving it any time to recover, Yu charges as Coco backs him up with protective spells and lands a powerful strike right in the demon's face, destroying it instantly. Labyrinth transports them to their favorite restaurant in town, where the people are happy to see them again since they went missing after the battle on the streets. And a few days and an amazing breakfast later, the four of them get started on a new adventure.